Hello and welcome to a special episode of the Masonic Roundtable, a weekly hangout where Masons from around the world get together to talk about Masonic news and opinions in a friendly and social manner. As usual, the thoughts and opinions expressed here are solely the opinions of the participants and do not represent any Grand Lodge statements or appended body statements or positions. Make sure you keep your conversations open for the public and on the level. To interact with us, send questions and comments to our Twitter page at Mason Roundtable or on our Facebook event page. And now into introductions. My name is John Ruark, a past master of the Patriot Lodge number 1957 and a 32nd degree Mason from the Valley of Alexandria. Now hand it off to Nick Johnson.
Hi, I'm Nick Johnson. I'm a past master of Corinthian Lodge number 67 in Big Time Farmington and not in the Scottish Rite.
Yet.
Yeah.
All right, Juan Sepulveda.
Hello, everybody. Juan Sepulveda. I am a member of Orange Blossom Lodge number 80 in Kissimmee, Florida, and a 32nd degree Mason in the Valley of Orlando.
All right, thank you, Juan. Jason Richards.
Hey, everybody. My name is Jason Richards, and I am the Junior Warden of Acacia Lodge number 16 in good old Clifton, Virginia, and not a member of the Scottish Rite.
Yet. And Jason, will you please introduce our special guest?
Yes, would like to introduce a very good friend of mine, Jonathan J.R. McDonald, who I actually helped raise, who is a special guest broadcasting live from the House of the Temple. J.R., go ahead and introduce yourself, what lodge you're in.
I'm with Federal Lodge number 1 out of the District of Columbia, the oldest continually operating Masonic Lodge in D.C. I am a third degree Master Mason from there, also not a member of the Scottish Rite, so
Yet.
You know, that is an accurate statement.
If they haven't sucked you in by now, I tell you what.
They've tried so many times.
Because where are you dialing in from right now?
I'm live at the House of the Temple right outside the West Gate.
Wow.
Yep. So we're doing. I'm with the front man with Fellowcraft Band, or Fellowcraft. We're with Fellowcraftband.com. You can find us online, and we are performing as part of the Scottish Rite Celebrating the Craft. So we're happy to be here and really happy to be part of the Masonic Roundtable because, as Jason stated, he was not only helped raise me, he was the man that introduced me to Masonry, the man I got my petition from, my first line signer, and he was part of all of my big Masonic milestones.
That's awesome. So we'll talk more about the band in a little bit, but just wanted to open it up and let everyone know that this is an off-schedule show that we have today. It is very informal, as you can tell by the way we're dressed and the way we set things up. This is a conversation. We wanted to take the opportunity an hour before the big show, the big Celebrating the Craft webathon, to talk about the craft, talk about what we like, give them a plug, and of course talk about our special guest for tonight. So just as a reminder for everyone to celebrate the craft, we did an episode back in episode 5, was it, Jason?
It was episode 5.
About why we joined, right? That's part of celebrating the craft is really recognizing where we came from and what brought us to Masonry. And I definitely want to hear Johnny Mac's story here in a little bit. But wanted to kind of open it up, see if anybody had any opening comments or thoughts, anything they wanted to highlight about what brought you to join Masonry.
Well, I mean, if you guys have all told your stories, I could just tell mine. So.
You know what? I'm curious.
Do it.
My grandfather was a 32nd degree Mason, and my mother talked about it with a certain level of hesitation. And growing up, I always thought of it as a very shadowy, even conspiratorial organization. And that intrigued me, as it does most people. I ran into several Masons throughout my initial interest period, when you're kind of just trying to explore it, but you don't even know where to go. I mean, this was even before I really did any real internet research. And the first 2 gentlemen that I ran into were both Prince Hall Masons, and that only exacerbated my level of interest because they talked about it with such reverence, but also with such control and seclusion. Like it was very parochial in its own way. And I ended up working for a Mason well, working with and for in a couple of different ways. But he was a Mason's Mason, Knights Templar, 32nd degree Scottish Rite, York Rite. He could have been involved in every fraternal body that I'd ever heard of, and some that didn't even know existed. And he was just about the same. And this is why I'm kind of a big proponent for Masonry and Facebook. One day, I saw on Facebook, as I usually do scrolling in the morning, that one of my friends was now a Mason, and it was Jason Richards. And I just reached out to him, and I'm like, hey, I had no idea, that you were a Mason. And Jason, obviously being Jason, wanted to talk about it. And that was the first time anybody had ever went, what do you want to know about Masonry?
And he's not stopped talking about it since.
Well, in defense of Jason, and I know that I'm probably going to be like patting him on the back, but it's guys like that bring people like me to the fraternity, because we're always kind of waiting for someone to say, it's okay. It's okay that you're interested. Come with me, let me show you a little bit about this fraternity. And Jason was so inviting. Like, he brought me out to a couple of lodges. He showed me all kinds of different things, and he actually brought me to Federal with a couple of other Masons, and that's really inevitably how I joined. And early on, he said, keep an open mind, and you never know what you're going to find. And beyond that, that was just me getting into Masonry. The last 2 years and 2.5 years have been, just a thrill ride. I've done so much with it.
You have the sweetest echo, by the way. I don't know.
Well, I'll give you a little look. Just hanging out.
Wow, that's the real deal. Now, the other thing
God said to Abraham.
Oh, no.
Funny enough, that's the hallway outside of the room that JR was raised in.
That's right. I was raised here, House of the Temple, with Jason Richards was there.
So. And John Ruark.
I was there.
Well.
No, you know what?
You
were. I have your pin.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, kid.
How many secret rooms have they shown you?
We're not supposed to talk about it.
Good answer.
Nick.
First rule of...
Very proud of you.
So we talked about how you got here. Why don't you talk about how the band got formed?
Well, Fellowcraft actually started in a moment of deep regret for me. I was going through a lot of really, really challenging hardships. I was going through a divorce. I was dealing with re-entering the dating scene. I had no real idea of what to expect. I ended up getting my heart broken a couple of times, and it was just really, really, it was really, really tough. And I turned to the Masons because it was familiar. They were friendly, and they always really, really were there for me in the past. And they helped me through it. But what I realized in the moment, they were encouraging me. All my Mason brothers were like, find something you love to do. What is it that you want to do? And ironically, what Jason will probably already told you, and if he hasn't, I'll tell you. I called him and my brother Brian Nelson Palmer, and I said, I want to start a band. And they were like, yeah, that sounds interesting. Let's give it a shot. And Brian and I started jamming, and Jason was busy with the Masonic Roundtable at the time. And we talked a little bit about jamming, and we always wanted to play, but it never really came to fruition. So when we ran in with a guy named Matt, Fellowcraft just kind of launched out of the ground. And Brian asked me early on when we were jamming, he said, hey, what do you want to call this band? Do you have a name? I said, yeah, I want to call it Fellowcraft. And he laughed, and he's like, really? Okay. And that was all there was to it. We didn't even argue. We didn't have a conversation. I think Jason and I originally were talking about it when I had the name, and he's like, what about Fellowcraft with a K? And I'm like, maybe, but it would be like Kraft mac and cheese. Are you guys Masonic or Kraftwerk?
Yeah.
But we have, and since we've been formed, people have asked us, they're like, are you guys Masons? Early on we used the square and compass in our logo. We've since taken that out, but it was very weird initially. People would ask us wow, it was a conversation starter, and so Fellowcraft in essence started out of my need for something, and has blossomed into far bigger than anything I could have imagined.
Yeah, because you guys play around DC all the time, don't you?
Yeah, we're playing pretty regularly now. We've got 4 gigs in the next 5 weeks. or no, sorry, not 5 weeks, sorry, next 8 weeks, I apologize. But we're playing here today at CTC, and then we'll be at U Street a couple of times. We're going to be up in Columbia Heights, and we play as often as possible.
There's Jason's
Awesome.
picture now of
Yeah, this is me and JR.
That's pre-beard
right before he
JR
got-
right
a
there.
little less facial hair. That's right.
Right before he got raised. We're actually in the House of the Temple Library there. So
I
if you
gave him
haven't-
that hat.
Yes, and I still have that hat.
So
My head's a little bit bigger than yours, so it doesn't quite fit, but that's okay.
I know it was a bit big on me. I thought it would fit you. So
all photographic evidence of JR is actually at the House of the Temple. I really don't think you go anywhere else.
I am here an awful lot. And, we take it for granted. I think the DC Masons especially, we really do take it for granted. We are surrounded, and really CTC, I can't say enough good things about raising money to fix this place because it's beautiful. It's a national treasure. There are Masons that will live and die that will never get to set foot in this place for one reason or another, and I wish that we could, find a way to get everybody through the House of the Temple at least once, because it's a gorgeous building that belongs to every single member of the fraternity.
Here's a picture of John at the House of the Temple. And, I'm laughing because of the comments there.
It's a very stern ruler.
Well, it was a stern day in a lot of ways. One's raising is often kind of a very, very solemn affair. So it was kind of it was fun in that respect. So we were all kind of rather stern and lectorial.
So is that where your lodge meets regularly?
No. Colonial Lodge meets here. They're the only Blue Lodge that meets in this building. We meet right outside of Hill Country Barbecue because, barbecue.
Nice.
It's a good Masonic place to meet.
Meat.
So why did you do your raising there then?
I missed my initial raising, which would have been equally as exciting. I think the Oklahoma Native Indian team from they came up from the Indian reservation, and they conferred the degrees. They were part of my initial class. My grandfather passed away, and before he died, my father and I got an opportunity to go out there with him. And my father, myself, and my grandfather are all firstborn men. We're all McDonald's. And we had, we called it a Scottish funeral, and we just stayed with my grandfather and drank whiskey and told stories and watched TV. When I got back, I was worried that I would miss my class and have to wait. I mean, I'd obviously missed my class, but they put on a special Fellowcraft conferral for me. It was me and Jason and a skeleton crew. I don't even think we had any actual visitors. I think Jason was the only visitor, if I recall. Everyone else had a speaking role or was involved. Well, Jason was involved too. That makes it sound like he didn't do anything, but he did.
I never do anything. It's okay.
And after that, Colonial Lodge was conferring a degree here in the building and asked if I'd like to be part of it. I don't think I ever said yes. I think I just hugged Morgan, and then they just kind of knew.
Now, so you guys have to get special dispensation to do that, right?
We do, yeah. They have to petition the Grand Lodge of D.C. to allow another lodge to confer the degrees. But I was still brought in by, I was still raised by federal Masons and by Jason. And it was that was a picture there that's from my Fellowcraft degree.
That's from his Fellowcraft degree, yeah.
That was a fun night. I had a great time.
It's like story hour.
It is. All three, just one after another.
Oh.
I love it though. I really do. I mean, Masonry has been far and above anything that I ever thought. When I first joined, I didn't think I was going to do anything with it other than drink beer and network, and I couldn't have been more wrong. I have. Since joining Masonry, I've been the senior deacon for every degree that they've let me do. I've done 5 in a row, and I just each different type, and I love the ritual. There's something to it. I can't explain it.
What's the best thing you've gotten out of Masonry so far, JR?
Oh gosh, I want to say discipline, but I don't know if that's the right word because it's more militaristic than most. I would say revelry. It's more than just morale. When you're among these men, you're connected to them in a very real spiritual way. You're raising them, you're teaching them, you're growing with them, but you're also helping them. You know, like they helped me through my divorce. I'm helping someone else through his. You cherish the moments with them, and then you're there when you need to pick someone up. It's like joining the military, but you don't have to kill anyone. So they say.
So they say. That was actually going to be, that's a good lead-in question, Jason, because I was going to say, as far as celebrating the craft goes, you know, why do we celebrate the craft? There's obviously something that we all get out of it, and it is individualized. So I was going to ask all the panelists what they got out of the craft. What do they enjoy out of Masonry? And I'll let Juan hop in, one of the Juans, because he's got two screens up here right now.
Yeah, I'm not just fooling around with the cameras. I'm trying to hop on the regular one. But I've gotten a tremendous amount of respect for what the craft is. You know, of course, looking from the outside in, there's this mystery that you don't know what's really going on inside, and you're curious and you want to be a part of it. But once you actually come in and you see all the different aspects that contribute to a man's journey, it's fascinating. You know, just like the brother was saying, you think you're gonna just hang out and drink, and then there's so much more. You know, brothers are helping you with family. Brothers are helping you with your business. Brothers are helping you with your own personal development. If you have the right mindset, you can really benefit a lot from it.
I think that people like say this all the time. They say that, like, Masonry, the brothers will help you. You become a Mason, and it's like they think of it like a benefit society. And the irony is, it is in a way, because when you become a brother, you bond with them like brothers. And just like my brother, like if he needed help, I would help him in the same way that I would help any Mason brother that came to me. But it's not because I have to. Right. It's because I want to.
Yeah.
You know.
Well said. Very well said. How about you, Jason?
For me, I think a lot of what I've gotten out of it that's really resonated with me is something similar to what JR was just talking about, the camaraderie and the fellowship. You know, I have made some amazing friends who I hope will be lifelong friends just from my connections within this fraternity. And, you know, all of the guys here, I can say this now because Nick's no longer in the chat. No, I'm kidding. But, you know, all of the guys on the Masonic Roundtable and JR, you know, these guys are all guys I can go to with anything about anything, who I know will be friends until they put me in the ground.
Right.
Yeah, Masonry, I mean, plain and simple, Masonry saved my life. I can't say that enough.
That's heavy. I like it.
I mean, I don't know, like, where I would be today if I hadn't joined the craft. I don't. I couldn't tell you.
You know, that I think that summarizes up in one word to me is trust, right? You have this trust with people that you don't have as coworkers, sometimes even as fellow patrons of your church. I don't know, there's this bond, but the bond really is summarized as trust. And I said in an earlier show, one of the things that really I got the most out of the craft is the philosophical side of it, right? That there are the mysteries, and, you know, when you're the outside looking in, it is very mysterious. There's, we can't talk about that. You know, you got to go through the degrees before you can understand that. And once you do, even when you go through them the first time, mind blown. Like you don't really know what you saw. And so then as you contemplate it, as you chew on it for a bit, it's going to consume you the rest of your life, because you're going to keep learning, you're going to keep thinking about different aspects of it, applying different aspects of it, using those tools, and, you know, chipping away that metaphorical stone. And it changes you. It changes you. It transforms you. And I think that's something that, to me, the reflection upon those things have really transformed me. Nick,
you know, I want to add.
What changed? What do you got the most out of the craft for? I know you're trying to change to a new location. Nick's been busy today, so we'll give him a chance to come back if you're okay. We'll do that. JR?
What have I got the most out of it, you think?
Yeah.
Or just, well, the revelry was the one thing that comes to mind, but I think like I didn't. One of the great stories I have was about my involvement in ritual, and I know you and I have talked about it. Jason and I talked about it, but I didn't think I would ever enjoy it. I didn't think it was something that I knew it was heavy and it was powerful and there was a lot to it. But when you think of all the work that goes into it, you think like, oh, I'll never want to do that. And then I started doing it, and I don't know how to say it any other way than this. So I'll just say what I love the most about Masonry right now, at least, is making Masons, finding these men, showing them the process, walking it through them. Conferring the degrees, teaching them all of the things they need to know, and it's almost like you're. I don't want to compare it to like leading troops into battle, because that's not even fair in the slightest. But it is sharing in a bond, and there's a certain sense of community that comes from it. It's like. It's a club, but it's so much more than that. I don't even know how to describe it. Anybody I would tell it. People ask me a lot, like, why do you like, what do you do in the Masons, or what does that pin on your shirt mean? And I'm like, it means I have a lot of friends.
That's one way to say it.
Yeah.
Nick, how about you? What have you gotten the most out of Masonry?
For me, I've been fortunate. I've been in here a while. You and I both have, and so it's one of those that it changes. I wrote that blog post a while ago about when the honeymoon ends. But what's kind of interesting is because I've entered this second phase of Masonry, what I really have enjoyed about it is just kind of the little things. So I don't get to go to as many meetings as I used to, and it's just because of family, kids, and all that other stuff. But when I do, just like what JR was saying, you've got all these friends all over the place, and it's just fantastic because, I could be gone. I've been gone from a lodge meeting for a while, but then I'll come back in, and they'll be like, "Oh, glad to see you're here." Of course, they throw me in the whatever chair that's open, but it works, and so it's kind of interesting to watch as my Masonic life has matured a little bit, and I slowly see this new things. And so for me, celebrating the craft, it's just these little things that I've been able to get into. Just taking the lessons that I've learned in Commandery and meet them into my religious life, chapter, and my understanding of Masonic principles that I learned in Blue Lodge. All these things, they all kind of work together, and it's just fantastic. So for me, it's now granular learning, and I really enjoy that because it's a little bit easier than the fire hose that I've been drinking from for the first 3 years of being a Mason. So.
No, I agree with that. Hey, JR, I know that you may have to bail early, so I wanted
what is your time hack? Because at 5:30, my drummer's going to come looking for me. I don't think he knows where I'm at.
Well, let me give you the opportunity then to plug when you're going to be on CTC tonight, so we can watch you at the right time.
Well, I tell you what. I'll do that now, and then I'll give you guys a little Fellowcraft spiel, and then I'll kind of, if you don't mind, I could duck out and let you guys run the show, and I could go make sure Brian doesn't worry about me. But
all right.
We're going to be first up, which is why I've got to be on point. We're right out of the gate, so right at 6 o'clock live. Fellowcraft is going to be up at 6:05. We're playing a song that Jason and you guys are totally familiar with. Your opening music is a song that I played for many years called that we played a version of. It's a modified version of Folsom Prison Blues, except by Johnny Cash, except that it's not the same chords, so it's our own rendition. We are playing a cover of Folsom Prison, and Jason and I jammed that, which inevitably became your guys' intro music. So I thought that was a pretty neat connection between Fellowcraft and the Masonic Roundtable.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
I loved it. It was so much fun. Jason and I ate Ben's Chili Bowl afterwards. It was fantastic. I would, and that's for those watching outside of DC. That's a DC institution. It's like if you come to DC, you got to go to Ben's. Fellowcraft Band will be playing as many gigs as we can in the DC area. We have tons of videos online. If you go to our YouTube channel, our Facebook page has a great amount of input. But I would encourage anyone to go to fellowcraftband.com. Read our blog posts. We've got our story up there, our photos. all of our applicable information, as well as the show schedule and the Scottish Rite schedule. They're all online. So help yourself to that. I mean, I can't. It took me over a year to get on the round table. I got to say, I got to step my game up. I'm gonna step my game up.
Well, you guys
but I did beat Morgan though, right? I beat Morgan.
Yes, you did.
Oh well, then I'm good. I'm good.
You can hold that over Morgan.
You know what? They can put that on my Masonic tombstone. I beat Morgan to the round table. That's
for those who don't know, Morgan Core is a past master of the Colonial Lodge in DC, who meets in the House of the Temple. He
meets here in the Temple. So I have to give him. He's Mr. DC Mason. I got to give it to him.
He is a Masonic nerd in the area, which is great.
Oh man, so. If ever there were Masonic celebrities, it's you guys and him. So I gotta say, please excuse my absence. This has been an absolute blast. We're gonna play as many gigs as we can, and I can promise all the watchers, I don't want to lose my Masonic heritage like within the band, but I always want it to be part of the band. Well, I can't say that we're a Masonic band. We are a band of Masons, and we'll continue to be as long as I can maintain that.
All right. Well, thank you, and you can stick around as long as you want. If you want to bail, just bail.
I think it's time for me to get down and see Brian before he freaks out.
Good luck. We'll be watching, and definitely check out Fellowcraft at fellowcraftband.com.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, and you guys enjoy yourselves so much.
Excellent.
Thank you for joining us, brother.
Thank you, brothers.
Thank you.
Okay, so thanks, JR. So what is this celebrating the craft thing that we are
celebrating?
Celebrating. We've talked about our journey. We've talked about how Fellowcraft got started, and JR McDonald specifically. But why are we doing this at 5 p.m.? What Jason, Nick, Juan, why don't you cover that?
Because it's 6 p.m. The real show gets started at ScottishRite.org.
Very right. So yes, if you do go to ScottishRite.org right now, you can get the show ready to watch live. Again, JR is probably running downstairs right now.
And don't try to click any other links on the Scottish Rite page, because that's the only one you're going to hit. So.
I know, that's crazy, right? Because I was trying to just do some Google searches, and all of their other, they must have done just a complete cutover to this new, load balanced thing that they set up for multiple people to hack at it. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
They want to make sure you're watching tonight, regardless.
Yeah.
So what is celebrating the craft, Juan?
Well, when you think of Freemasonry and the Scottish Rite and all the different bodies, the people that belong to them, they have a view and an understanding of what the organization is, of what the costs are, of all of that. The community at large has no idea of what it actually goes on in our fraternity. So the celebrating the craft is one way in which the Scottish Rite can put out a good presentation. It's a multi-pronged initiative that has public relations intertwined into it, and it's a fundraising opportunity for them. Like Brother JR was talking about, the building is majestic, but it needs some repairs. There are things that are important to maintain in order for it to be a sound structure for many years to come. And just by virtue of the dues that we pay, it's not going to be enough to keep it. So this is one way in which they can do one concentrated fundraising effort that is going to kill many birds with one stone. Show the public what Freemasonry and the Scottish Rite is all about. Raise some awareness of what we do for the community, and in the same way, raise funds for the building.
So it's a fundraiser, is what I'm hearing. It's like a webathon. That's what I've heard it referred to as. Nick, your take?
Sure. Well, I've only, whenever it's on, the number of times it's been on, I've caught glimpses of it, and I've been very, it's been very entertaining. But it's one of those that it's a very interesting, because it does. I think Juan's right. It's a public relations piece as much as it is a fundraising tool. But I've been to DC a few times, and sadly I've never actually visited the two giant Masonic things that are there. But I've been told that the House of the Temple is pretty much one of the best Masonic buildings. We on Reddit we had this. What are the top 10 things you should visit as a Mason? And the House of the Temple was on every single list, every single one. And so it's that important, I guess. And for me, next time I get out to D.C. after visiting you guys in good old Virginia, that's actually the place that I've been planning on visiting. It's because I hear it's just a magnificent structure, and I've seen pictures of it, but
There's some pictures now Jason has up. Yeah.
Ooh, wonderful. Because I don't know. I just want to see that building. It's just so amazing.
So it is. Actually, the picture with the altar that Jason's going to cycle through here in a second, that's actually inside the door right behind where JR was speaking.
Oh, wow.
So that door opens up into this lodge room, which is absolutely fantastic. Yeah, it's hard to describe, and it's also in the first chapter of Dan Brown's The Lost Symbol.
So now with this building, where do they actually meet for the Supreme Council? Is that like a separate room for everything? And
No, it's that particular lodge building, I believe, or that particular lodge room.
Oh, wow.
They do have others, but that is the primary one. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, as far as CTC goes, so basically it is raising money for that building, right? That's a 100-year-old building. And 100-year-old buildings, for any other lodges that have those, know that those don't come cheap as far as operations and maintenance go. So that's part of this. This is a webathon to raise money for the Scottish Rite and its foundations, as well as for they call that the House of the Temple. Now, the webathon that starts in less than half an hour from now is their version of Celebrating the Craft, which is a live webathon where they have live bands playing. They have talent that talks about different, not just bands, but other activities that go on. And they go from 6 to midnight. So you can watch, you can donate. They have a big donate button at the bottom of scottishrite.org where you can help them keep that beautiful building around for many years to come. This is their third annual one, I believe. And it's certainly a noble cause, especially for any Scottish Rite Mason. But again, it is a 501c3, so you can write off those as tax-exempt charitable deductions, and help out with the beautiful building they have. I mean, it's got so much history there. Tonight they're going to also have a nice nerdy 33rd degree section of Art de Hoyos and S. Brent Morris, both of which will eventually get on the show, I'm sure, who are prominent
nod.
Masons. Yeah, wink, wink, nod, nod, nod. And they will have a little ask us anything kind of chat thing. I think we did it first, so remember that. And again, it's a good PR thing that Juan said. Now, one question I had for you guys. Scottish Rite has talent, is the way that they've been talking about it. But my question to you is, what are talents that we don't know that you have? If we were to have a TMR talent show, what talent or talents would you show off? Juan, let's start with you.
I really don't think this is appropriate for the show, John.
There's some I'm never going to say.
We could have kids watching.
Juan, make sure your mute button's off. Yeah.
There we go. I apologize, but I couldn't hear the question.
The question is, what talents do you have? If we were to have a TMR talent show, what talents would you have that we don't know about?
That you don't know about?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I heard you can draw.
I can draw. I've made that known. I put a little bit of an effort into showing it, but there's a couple of things that I can tell. I'm going to tell you just one, but I'm not going to show you any of it. I can make voices and sounds and special effects and
a voice actor. Nice.
Oh yeah.
Very, very cool. Now here's one question I had for kind of everybody, because we've talked about it in our little chat room before. Do you have any musical talents? Any instruments you've played? Or played in the past or play currently?
I've played the piano in the past. I can't remember any of it.
We're going to get a band together, I swear.
Yeah.
We're going to call it Fellowcraft. No, wait.
As a
We
Puerto
call
Rican,
it
it's a
Fellowcraft
prerequisite.
with an S.
And a K.
Yes.
And a K.
S with a $sign.
Yes.
Okay, cool. The piano and anything else?
And that's about it.
Okay, awesome. Nick, I want to know what your talents are.
Ooh, my talents. Well, I'll give you my musical instrument. I'm a lot like Davy Jones on the Monkees. So, I know that's a really old reference. Super old. But
See,
this
I
is what I
figured
can
you
do.
were
I can
more of
shake
a Keith Moon
tambourine.
type.
I can do that. I can shake a tambourine, and I can sing like this.
Shake your tambourine.
Yeah, and that's about it. So, no musical talents at all, which is good. Let's see, talents. I can juggle a little bit,
Really?
but not anything dangerous, because they scare me. Knives scare me, other than, pocket knives. Let's see. I can balance things, like, really well. I don't know. I don't know why. Whoa! I feel scared now.
Nice.
Oh, man, you're gonna cut me.
Calm down, G.
What up, G?
Let's see. I'm trying to think of what other talents. I can remember pretty much every movie I've ever seen, and I can quote from just about every movie I've ever watched, and it's really a terrible skill. It's really bad. You're the only one laughing at the joke from the movie that somebody saw like 18 years ago, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I remember that one."
Like Davy Jones references. Yeah.
Yeah, Davy
Yep.
Jones. Yeah, there you go, baby.
But you are a Trivial Pursuit god.
Finally, I'm gonna make all the
For
money.
one category.
For one category. Jason, how about you?
Well, I was going to say my musical talent is my hidden talent. Those of you who don't know, I actually I was the original Fellowcraft bass player.
And then you got fired.
And then I was doing so much with the Masonic Roundtable that I just didn't have time to actually commit to JR's band. So time will tell as to whether or not I chose wisely or poorly. But in the Masonic Roundtable podcast intro and outro music, I actually played the bass guitar and the drums. I'm more of a drummer than a bassist or a guitarist. Actually, I have to play drums for church tomorrow. So.
Bright and early.
Isn't it all percussion?
Huh?
Isn't it all percussion? Is the bass percussion as well?
It's part of the rhythm section, but it's not percussion in and of itself. It's more of a stringed instrument. Instrument of awesomeness. Actually, funny story. I bought a fuzz bass pedal just for the TMR intro and outro music.
Very cool. And I hear it every week. See, as for me, yeah, I'm also a percussionist. That's kind of my true passion and love. And percussionist in every sense of piano, drums, keyboard, xylophone, chimes, you name it. So I've been there.
You play timpani?
I've played timpani. I've also played tambourine like Nick, so I can join Nick in his ranks. Let's see, I did magic back in the day. It's been a while, but I could dust off some of that. Those are probably my two primary talents. So I'm sensing a TMR band come together here. We kicked around the idea over a little internal chat of having, because even though we're geographically dispersed, laying some tracks together and just sending them by email and trying to get the band preferably together. Hey, there's
That's a timpani player right there.
Marching timpani.
They're rather stationary.
They're okay.
Nice.
Oh, and drum set as well. I mean, I played jazz band for many years, so I enjoy that as well. All right.
Nice.
So So the next question I have for you guys, with about less than 20 minutes left until the big show, is that this seems to be, at least for the third year running, a profitable fundraising activity that they have. I mean, it's something that's working well for them. They're continuing to do it. It is a new spin on an old idea, like those Jerry Lewis telethons. From a fundraising perspective, should other groups copy this idea and try to bring some of that old school fundraising into the 21st century?
No.
No.
Well, and here's why.
Why is that, Jason?
Because 3 years ago, Acacia had an amazing idea.
Oh, yeah?
Said, okay,
What was that?
we're going to raise money by doing a golf tournament. And as of this year, there are like 6 lodges within our area, including the Grand Lodge of Virginia, that are all raising money by golf tournaments. So how many times are you as a Mason going to shell out over $100 for a golf tournament fundraiser? There's a law of diminishing returns when it comes to fundraising, and if celebrating the craft is the quintessential what you think of as far as a old school telethon fundraiser, the more lodges and causes that get in on that, the less profitability it'll be overall. And I think if you have a ton of people doing different telethons or fundraisers, you know, you're going to take away from the good that celebrating the craft does, and B, everybody's going to get really sick of the telethon because you really need the name recognition to pull it off anyway.
Yeah. Well,
It'll be a logistic nightmare to say the least.
Absolutely.
Can you imagine a grand encampment version of this thing? It would just be 24 hours of onward Christian soldiers. It would be terrible.
It's like the Salvation Army band.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I mean, so that is a good
People
point.
would pay them to stop.
So it's not only the fact of copying the same idea, but you got to have 6 hours of material to cover. So there's that. Nick, what do you think?
You know, it's kind of interesting. I think that you have to be unique in fundraising. We learned this with all the myriad pancake breakfasts. I know, I just cringed. I just didn't show it because the listener can't see it, but I almost threw up a little bit. I'm so sick of pancakes. I can't eat them.
Celebrating the cake.
Too much syrup. Too much syrup, not enough sausage. I'm just saying. You know, but you know, for me, it's got to be a unique thing, and CTC is really unique. It's a telethon, yeah, but it's not like a telethon that the Jerry Lewis kind where you had Jerry. I mean, really, seriously, I don't know, but whatever.
Pretty lady.
Yeah, hey lady. Yeah, no,
right.
I can't handle that. I just can't. And you know, it's kind of like when you think about it, you're right. There's name recognition because it's really important. But I like this. I like CTC. I've watched it a few times. I think it's a really good thing. Now, you know, the one problem I see, at least for me, is that it's totally web-based. And you know, for me, it's like I'm sitting there going, man, I wish I could be watching this on my Roku right now. Because you know, right now we're on Google Hangouts right now. We literally are broadcasting on YouTube. That can be viewed on a Roku. It can be viewed on a Blu-ray player. This one, you know, I went to the Scottish Rite website, and you are stuck in that native app. There is no way to get around that. So, I don't know.
All right, Juan, looks like you've moved to greener pastures here. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about your thoughts on reusing this as a fundraising activity?
I don't think it's for everybody. I think it's logistically there's a lot of moving parts, and if you've ever organized anything within a lodge, you know that having a lot of smoothly moving parts is very, very difficult. They're fortunate that they have the infrastructure that can support a successful execution of a project like this. Can you hear the wind or no?
No, you're good. Don't worry.
Okay. But what I would suggest though is that lodges and other organizations that makes me think creatively as best as possible. Just think outside the box. Just because you see someone else raising fund, the same way, don't imitate, emulate. And emulation is just not mere imitation. It's just to see something that's working and imitate it and improve on it.
And make it your own.
Yeah, make it your own. And just one of the basic things that I think about is like, and we do this here in Florida. There's almost like an entrance survey where you can assess what different talents the brothers that are members of your lodge have. So there is a list that my lodges have that says that I can paint and I can do this and that and the other, and you can use those assets. You have brothers that are good in one discipline or another. See how that can be used to raise funds for the fraternity without burning that brother.
Hey, can you talk more about that? Because that's the first I've ever heard of something that basically polls the new members to see what talents they have. Can you talk about that?
Yep.
When did they get that?
Well, after you get approved to receive the degrees, shortly, after becoming a Mason, there's a sheet that we fill out talking about what talents or what skills we have that we could put to the service of the lodge. So if there's someone who is good with web design, or there's someone who is good with cooking, then the lodge knows who to go to that's going to appreciate being used at that capacity. Because the last thing you want is someone who hates the kitchen and trying to force them into the kitchen, when you need someone that does web design, and this guy absolutely loves it. So especially culinary is one of the things that comes to mind. Don't get stuck with the pancakes. I love pancakes as much as the other guy. Yeah.
Any brother can do dishes.
Anybody can do dishes. But
do you think there's one that actually writes that on the sheet? I love doing dishes. Can I sweep floors too?
Whoever they are, I need them at my lodge because we need a good steward.
Yeah, it could be. There's a lot of ways of raising funds. I think celebrating the craft is a unique way of doing it. Not unique, but it's a very peculiar way of doing it that is not a fit for everybody. Yeah, you can have a local talent show and have it be a fundraiser, but
yeah, like a benefit show or something along those lines.
Yeah.
So
brothers with talent love to show him. That's the bottom line. If you are a musician, you love to show your music. If you're a painter, you love to show your painting. See how you can do that. How you can use that to raise funds for your lodge.
Mm-hmm. So I think we're starting to come to the last round here. It's about 11 minutes before the show, and it's probably a good time to start wrapping things up, saying our final thoughts, so we make sure we cut off right at 6 o'clock. And I'll let Nick start off as we start to close our pregame.
Sure. Well, I'll be excited to watch this year. Again, I wish it were on Roku, but I'm just saying. Not that I'm saying, I'm just saying. But no, seriously, it's a really great idea. It's really fun to watch, and yeah, I'll be a very interested participant, and I might even cut a check. But they got to perform.
You got to earn it.
Got to earn it.
Well, you know what? If you go to the Fellowcraft band's website, you can they've got a place where they can say, okay, hey, donate and help us be Scottish Rite's favorite talent.
Nice.
Ooh. Very cool. All right, Juan?
You don't have to watch the whole Celebrating the Craft show. See, if you can watch as much of it as you can. But the most important thing is if you can contribute, if you can donate to help preserve the building, and very important to keep in mind, it's not just the building. They have one of the most comprehensive libraries of Masonry with original tomes from Albert Pike and, you know, all the people that you read from. They have some sort of very valuable and old either manuscript or book that requires special care. They can't just toss it into a bin and, you know, forget about it. So that is one of the parts that is important to the fundraiser initiative. They want to preserve these for future generations so that they can also get from it the light that you're enjoying today. So celebrate the craft today, and, you know, make yourselves known, represent your valley as best as you can, and donate as much as you can.
All right. Thank you, Juan. Jason.
All right. Let's see. Trying to share some good stuff, but I think I crashed Firefox. Oh well. So, you know, again, telefon's not for everybody. But when I said that people shouldn't replicate CTC, I meant because it's a well-oiled machine that works wonderfully well for the Scottish Rite, and they really know how to do it. And it's a fantastic cause because the House of the Temple, I've been there several times, and it's just amazing. And the librarians they have there, Larissa Watkins especially, is amazing. And she will help you find books and resources on anything and everything under the sun. And you know, they just do such a good work there, preserving the historical knowledge of Masonry. And the building's gorgeous, and they opened that up to Colonial Lodge, which is a lodge at George Washington University. Of course, that's one of my alma maters, and it's a really good cause. So go and donate, and if you know, within your ability and your means, and if nothing else, just try to support the Scottish Rite because they do a lot of really good work. That's all I got, John.
Okay, good. I was trying to unmute myself there. No, I agree that, again, plug for the craft, celebrating the craft. We will have, let's see, I'll actually share the screen again. For those who don't know, if you want to watch, go to scottishrite.org, and they have a big old button. Click here to watch. Can't miss it. And if you want to donate, click the big old donate button. Can't miss it either. They do that very well. They want to make sure that you can easily get to the content and donate. So it's right there. Check it out in less than 7 minutes from now. scottishrite.org, and check it out. Now, again, this is a free show they give away. There's a lot of work. If you go and looked at some of their old Twitter posts, they post a lot of videos of all the setup it took to get things ready. This is a high-quality production. This is not like, you know, 4 guys in their bedrooms or in their front yards. It's actually
or 5 guys around a round table.
Yeah, those guys. Slackers.
Love those guys.
Although we did it on the cheap, they actually took a little bit of money to do it right. And, you know, again, this goes to Scottish Rite in general, not just the House of the Temple. This goes to the Scottish Rite Foundation, which does a lot of good things, especially in dyslexia and learning disabilities as well. So let's not forget that. This is, it's not a self-licking ice cream cone. It's not just serving their infrastructure needs, but it's also for charitable works as well. And so if you support the growth and development of people with learning disabilities, with dyslexia, definitely support to that cause as well. And then Jason, I think you had a final slide that you were going to bring up. There we are. Very easy to find. scottishrite.org is how to go right to the website. Fellowcraft Band, www.fellowcraftband.com, to check out J.R. McDonald and his group as they travel around D.C. And as a reminder,
they're actually going to be on Celebrating the Craft at 6:05, 9:05, and 11:05 today. So check them out because they are doing some great stuff. They are in the middle of recording their debut album, and I've listened to some of their tracks that they've released so far, and it's pretty good stuff.
Wow, good sneak peek. So we'll definitely try to have Fellowcraft on later on as they grow to popularity, and you can say you've heard it here first. But in less than 10 minutes, they will be on. They are right out of the gate, opening up, celebrating the craft, and again, have a good time. Cuddle up with your friends and brothers. Donate, and that's all we've got. Any last go backs before we close it out?
Thank you for joining us and making sure to spread the word. Share the links through social media as best as you can. I know in previous years people were having difficulty finding some of the links.
Hey, Juan, are you going to be live tweeting Celebrating the Craft at all today?
Yes, I will be.
Yeah, so if
what's your Twitter handle?
It's at Winding Stairs 33.
Great.
And also at Mason Roundtable.
Okay. Definitely follow that. And CTC does have its own official hashtag, which is hashtag CTC2015. Okay. With that, thank you very much for watching, and support CTC. Have a good day.